Imagine this. You're walking down the street and you spot a $20 bill just sitting there on the ground. How do you feel? Pretty good, right? A little rush. A small win out of nowhere. Now, same street, same day. But instead of finding 20 bucks, you lose 20 bucks. It slips out of your pocket. You don't notice until it's too late. That sinking feeling in your gut? That's not just disappointment. It's something much deeper than that. And here's the thing. The $20 is the same $20. The value hasn't changed. But your brain? Your brain reacts in a completely different way. That's because your brain is hardwired with one rule that overrides every other financial instinct you have. The pain of losing is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. Twice. That's not a metaphor. That's your amygdala lighting up like a Christmas tree. It's called loss aversion, and it explains why you hold on to bad investments, why you can't declutter your closet, why you stay in things that stopped serving you a long time ago, and why you're probably losing money right now without even realizing it. Here's the problem. Your brain evolved over 200,000 years in an environment where missing a threat meant death. Not missing a gain, missing a threat. Missing a meal was bad. Missing a predator? That was final. So your brain optimized for one thing: avoid losses at all costs. And honestly, that was brilliant in 200,000 BC. But in 2026, when the threat is a 5% stock dip or a $20 bill slipping out of your pocket, same brain, same panic. Completely different world. Your brain literally does not know the difference. Loss aversion shows up in your financial life through three specific patterns: the endowment effect, the sunk cost fallacy, and status quo bias. And today, we're going to break down all three of them. Let's start with the one that's costing you the most right now. Imagine this. You're sitting in a coffee shop. You buy a ceramic mug for $5. It's a nice mug, gold color, good weight. You hold it in your hands. You use it. It becomes yours. Then someone walks up to you and says, "Hey, I'll buy that mug from you. How much do you want for it? What's your number?" Most people, and I mean consistently across decades of research, say something like $15 for a $5 mug they've owned for 30 seconds. Think about that for a moment. The mug didn't change. The price tag at the store is still $5. Nothing about the object itself is any different, except one thing: you own it now. And the moment you own something, your brain inflates its value dramatically. That is the endowment effect. The endowment effect is what happens when ownership rewires how your brain calculates value. You overvalue what you have simply because it's yours. And this doesn't just show up at coffee shops. It shows up in investment portfolios. Researchers have found that investors hold on to stocks they already own far longer than the math would justify, even when the numbers clearly say sell. It's called the disposition effect. You hold your losers and sell your winners too early. Why? Because selling at a loss makes the loss real. As long as you hold, it's just a number on a screen. The moment you sell, you've admitted defeat. Your brain would rather live in denial than feel that pain. It shows up at garage sales and on Facebook Marketplace. Have you ever tried to sell something used, a couch, a guitar, an old phone, and thought, this is easily worth $300? But every single person who messages you offers $150. Are they all cheap? Or are you caught in the endowment effect? Right, the market doesn't care that it's yours. It shows up in salary negotiations too. You value the job you already have, the security, the known quantity, far more than an outside offer with higher pay, even when the numbers clearly favor leaving. The known devil beats the unknown angel every time. And here's the wild part. You don't even need to physically own something for the endowment effect to kick in. Just touching an item in a store increases your willingness to pay for it. Apple knows this. That's why every Apple Store table is designed for you to pick things up. The moment your fingers wrap around that iPhone, your brain starts the ownership clock, and suddenly the price feels a little more reasonable. There's another layer to this. It's called the IKEA effect, named after the furniture you build yourself. When you put effort into something, you value it more. Researchers gave people origami figures. Some got pre-folded figures. Others had to fold their own. Then they asked, how much would you pay for these? The people who folded their own figures valued them at 5 times more than the pre-folded ones. 5 times. For objectively worse origami. The folds were crooked. The paper was creased wrong. And they still thought their ugly little frog was worth 5 times more. Because they made it. Their effort became value. This is why you overvalue your own business ideas, your own creative projects, the stock you spend hours researching, the house you renovated with your own two hands. Your sweat equity blinds you to what the market actually says. So how do you fight the endowment effect? First strategy, the stranger test. Before you make any financial decision about something you own, ask yourself one question. If I didn't own this, would I buy it today at this price? If the answer is no, that's your amygdala talking, not your math. Second strategy, the zero-based question. Forget what you paid. Forget how long you've had it. Forget the memories attached to it. Ask only one thing. Does this serve me today? If it doesn't, let it go. Now let's talk about the sunk cost fallacy. And this one? This one is loss aversion's meaner, more expensive cousin. Here's how it works. You buy a gym membership, 12 months, upfront payment, $300. Month 1, you go 4 times. Month 2, you go twice. Month 3, 0. You hate it. You dread the drive, the locker room, the machines, every second of it. But then that voice kicks in. I already paid for it. So you drag yourself there for 9 more months of misery, because stopping would mean admitting you wasted $300. But here's what your brain is refusing to see. The $300 is already gone, past tense. It does not come back whether you go to the gym or not. Every additional trip you force yourself to make isn't recovering that money. It's spending something far more valuable, your time, your energy, your happiness. You are paying twice and calling it a smart decision. The sunk cost fallacy is what happens when you let past investments dictate future decisions. And the more you've invested, money, time, emotion, identity, the harder it becomes to walk away. This shows up everywhere. Concert tickets. You paid $200. The night arrives and you're completely exhausted. You don't even like the band anymore, but you go anyway, because I already paid. So you spend 4 hours being miserable at a show you don't want to attend, just to justify money you already spent. That's not logic. That's your amygdala hijacking your prefrontal cortex. College degrees. You're 2 years into a 4-year program and you realize this is not what you want to do with your life. But you stay. 4 more semesters, tens of thousands more in tuition, because I've already come this far. But the degree doesn't get more valuable just because you paid more for it. Relationships. You've been dating someone for 3 years. It's not working. You know it's not working. But you stay, because I've invested so much time, as if staying another year somehow refunds the first 3. And the king of all sunk costs, bad investments. You bought a stock at $50. It's now at $20. You're not selling. Not because you genuinely think it'll go back up, but because selling means admitting you were wrong. So you hold, and it drops to 10. And you hold tighter, because now it has to bounce back, right? The market doesn't care what you paid. The stock doesn't know you own it, but your ego does. Psychologists call this escalation of commitment. The more you lose, the more you double down. It's why governments stay in wars they can't win, why companies keep funding projects that are clearly failing, why you keep pouring money into a car that breaks down every 6 months. Because stopping means admitting the loss, and admitting the loss hurts. So how do you beat the sunk cost fallacy? Strategy 1. Ask the zero-based question. Knowing what I know now, would I start this today? If you wouldn't buy that gym membership today, cancel it. If you wouldn't enroll in that degree today, transfer. If you wouldn't buy that stock today, sell it. What you already spent is irrelevant to what you should do next. Strategy 2. Imagine a friend is in your situation. Your best friend tells you, I hate my gym, I dread going, but I paid $300 last year, should I keep going? You'd tell them, the $300 is gone, stop going. Why is it so hard to say that to yourself? Finally, the third pattern, status quo bias. This is loss aversion's quietest weapon, and it might be costing you more than the first 2 combined. Status quo bias is the tendency to keep things exactly as they are, even when changing would clearly improve your life. Why? Because any change involves a risk of loss, and your brain would rather guarantee mediocrity than risk a loss for a chance at something better. Here's where it shows up in your money. Your bank account. You've been with the same bank since you were 16. Same checking account, same savings account earning 0.01% interest. A competitor offers 2%. That's not a typo, 2% versus 0.01. But switching banks feels like a hassle. New login, new app, update your direct deposit. So you stay. And you lose hundreds of dollars a year in interest. Every year, forever. Because switching feels like work, and what if something goes wrong? Your subscription list. Netflix, Spotify, that meal kit service you used twice back in January. The app subscription you forgot you even signed up for. The average person wastes over $200 a month on subscriptions they don't actually use, and canceling each one takes about 90 seconds. But those 90 seconds feel harder than losing $200, because canceling means acknowledging, I made a bad call subscribing to this, and your brain hates that. Your investment allocation. You're sitting in the default fund your employer picked. You've never changed it. You don't know the fee structure. You don't know if it matches your risk tolerance. But changing it means making a choice. And making a choice means possibly being wrong. So you stay in the default for years. A 1% difference in fees over 30 years can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. That's the price of doing nothing. Your salary. You haven't asked for a raise in 2 years. Not because you don't deserve one, but because asking creates the possibility of hearing no. And no feels like a loss, a rejection, even though your current salary is already locked in. So you stay at the same number, year after year, losing thousands, not because you were denied anything, but because you never asked. Your budget. You've been running on the same rough mental budget for years. You've never actually tracked your spending for a full month. Because looking at the real numbers might show you something uncomfortable, something you'd have to change. So you don't look, and the leaks continue. This is status quo bias, the invisible tax you pay for doing nothing. Here's how to fight it. Strategy 1, the 24-hour rule, but backwards. Normally, you use a 24-hour rule to prevent impulse buying. Use it to force impulse change. If you see something in your financial life that should change, a bank, a subscription, a fund allocation, give yourself 24 hours to make the switch. Not 24 hours to think about it, 24 hours to do it. The longer you wait, the more your brain talks you out of it. Strategy 2, the 1% rule. Every month, improve one financial thing by 1%. Cancel one subscription. Move one account. Ask for one fee waiver. 1% compounds. Over a year, that's 12% better. Over 5 years, you're in a completely different financial position, and you barely felt the effort. Strategy 3, the pre-commitment rule. Make decisions in your clearest moment, not your weakest. Set up automatic transfers. Set calendar reminders to review subscriptions. Write down your investment allocation rules. Then follow the system, not your feelings. Because your feelings will always tell you to do nothing. So let's bring it all together. Loss aversion is the engine. The pain of losing is twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. It's not a character flaw. It's not that you're bad with money. It's your brain running 200,000-year-old software in a 21st century world. The endowment effect is your brain inflating the value of anything you own, your stocks, your stuff, your ideas, simply because they're yours. And the antidote is the stranger test. If you didn't own this, would you buy it today? The sunk cost fallacy is your brain refusing to let go of past investments, money, time, identity, even when walking away is clearly the right move. And the antidote is the zero-based question. Knowing what I know now, would I start this today? Status quo bias is your brain convincing you that doing nothing is safer than doing something, even when the math says otherwise. And the antidote is the 1% rule. Improve one financial thing by 1% every month. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. Your brain is not broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, protect you from threats. The problem is that in 2026, the threats have changed. A market dip is not a predator. A subscription you forgot about is not a survival risk. A bad investment is not a saber-toothed tiger. But your amygdala treats them all the same way. The difference between people who build wealth and people who don't It's not intelligence, it's not income, it's not luck. It's whether they let their ancient brain run their modern money decisions, or whether they recognize the pattern, name it, and override it. You now know about the endowment effect. You now know about the sunk cost fallacy. You now know about status quo bias. You can't unknow them. And every time one of them tries to hijack your next financial decision, and it will, probably later today, you'll see it coming. And when you see it coming, you can stop it. If this video changed how you think about even one financial decision today, hit subscribe. We're breaking down a new money psychology concept every single week. It's not math, it's your brain. See you in the next one.